Discipline is hard, motivation comes and goes, but habits don't negotiate. I feel like I've learned something through my experience in my life, and that is that habits outdo discipline every time. I've managed to turn some of the hardest tasks in my life into such enjoyable tasks that they become non-negotiables in my day. And in this video, I want to share exactly how I did that. My name is Leroy. I'm a young professional, and I work a really highly demanding job that honestly eats into my free time. With the free little time that I have, I've managed to build a brand called Slower in South Africa's automotive industry, for which we do photo shoots, run campaigns, have built products, worked with clients, and have a retainer client. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I don't do this all by myself. I do it with me and a business partner, but he also works an equally as demanding job. However, we've managed to find the time to build and do the stuff in a way that's enjoyable for us. Doesn't really feel like hard work anymore. In this video, I want to share some of the tools that we've used to get there. The main tool, as I said in the intro, is obviously habits. The first point when it comes to the habits is that I've learned that consistency is key. Consistency over intensity. What I mean by this is that just simply showing up every day is 10 times better than showing up super intensely one time, getting burnt out, and then not showing up for 2 weeks. Or not at all again. That's the one thing that I really learned in my own life, that there's been periods where I've been like, yo, look, I am so motivated. I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. But then after 2 weeks of doing that, I feel crushed. And I start getting home, just scrolling on my phone for hours, getting home, sleeping, getting tired, feeling burnt out, and not working again. And if I was simply to have just been consistent, showed up, done small actions, I would have had a lot more growth than trying to be Mr. Hardcore. The second point we get to is that you need to build an environment that helps with these habits. When you're building this environment, you got to think about what is a habit and how do habits work. By the way, if you feel like a lot of the points in this video sound very similar to the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, that's because although I've learned these lessons from going through my daily life, I read the book Atomic Habits about, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, and it really changed and helped me form these habits in the first place. It's a fantastic book, and I would suggest highly that you read the book, let it change your life as well. But anyways, let's get back into the point, which is that habits are formed like this. Essentially, you have a trigger, you have a behavior, and you have an outcome. So what happens is that you might get home, see a cake in your fridge, you're gonna feel like eating it, and after you eat it, you'll start to have a lot of calories, and eventually over time you'll get fat. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that in a funny way, but like that's the way the habits work. And the way I've applied in my life to try and improve my habits or get better habits into my life is that I've set triggers that help me move in the right direction. The night before, pack my gym clothes, get them ready, leave them on my side desk, and then on the day when I leave for work, once I've made my bed, I'll leave them on the bed. So that when I get home, I hit the shower, I sit down, I look to my left and know that my gym clothes are there, triggering me, telling me that, look, today I need to hit the gym. The other actual habit stack that I do here, and this is an idea that James Clear speaks about in the book called habit stacking, which is tying doing something to doing something else. Another habit that I'll stack onto this is that once I've gotten home and showered, I sit down at my computer immediately, and in doing so, I'll feel pushed to end up with the outcome of working, doing some form of work, whether it's creative work, whether it's learning more content to use when I'm working at my professional job, or just progressing and learning about other facets of life. Sitting at the computer triggers everything. So I feel triggered in that manner. Whilst I'm working, I'll see my gym clothes and I'll feel triggered that, look, at some point, though, as I said, time to hit the gym. So that's the one way to do it. But before we go any further in the video, here's where most people fall off. People will be doing habits, and this is where I fell off a lot of the time, to be honest with you, is that I'll be doing a habit and then 15 days into it, I'll be like, yo, this is pointless. I don't see any difference. Like, am I really doing anything? And sometimes you got to remind yourself that, look, you should probably reward yourself so you can keep doing it for the 30 days. But that point where you feel like quitting is probably close to the point where you're going to start to enter the compounding phase of habits, which is what's going to benefit you super highly. So at that point, I'll always just remind myself, look, let me reward myself, add that as part of the outcomes of my habit stacking so that I can continue forward, because the consistency will lead to compounding. So the final point is that doing these habits compounds, and the compounding is the key here. Even if you're doing a small gain or a small increase in terms of what you're doing or outputs, right? That 1% you're doing every day, if you look at it over a year, will result in you being 38 times better at whatever it is you're doing. So just for myself, I want to always remember that, look, I may not feel like doing it today, I might not have the energy, but I should probably just force myself a little bit, start it. Over time, I'll build the habit. And also over the entirety of a year, when I look back at where I was when I started, I'll probably be 10 times better than where I was at the beginning. Here's a little bit of a personal take on this. This YouTube channel that I'm starting right now, I'm not the best at public speaking, I'm not the best at articulating myself, but hopefully this YouTube channel will be a way that by the end of the year I can look back after I've made a video a week and be like, look, I have increased my articulation significantly and I've become better at having an on-camera presence and just talking and engaging with people in general. So hopefully this channel will be just that. But if you are yourself a young professional with a demanding career and you want to build some leverage in your life, which is what I aim to do in this channel, please follow me for my journey in trying to do that, build some leverage, learn about fitness, learn about finance, learn about ways to maybe make side hustles to add on to your personal income. Please join me on my journey. Hopefully you'll learn some valuable tips, and I would appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and share. Peace out.